So in this course, we have covered a vast amount of history, and thank you so much for going on this journey with me. It has meant a huge amount to me to be able to document the past and what I believe gives our present so much meaning and gives our future direction. But the question remains, where are we today? We have removed the shackles of slavery and we are starting to remember what came before that. We are in the process of disbanding harmful ideologies and learning how to be proud of our heritage without discrediting the heritage of others. But still, the legacy of the past is symptomatic in the present day. I would advocate that the nation needs to therapeutically address the sins of the past. As in psychotherapy, trauma, if not addressed, will present itself in potentially harmful ways. The British government themselves have tried to hide the past by actively burning colonial documents. The marches of 2020, that a lot of which were directed by the Black Lives Matter movement, have shown that the memories of the past continue in their need to be addressed despite efforts to cover them up. Basically, we have tried, and many people have tried forgetting and forgiving the past, but because the narrative continues, surely it is a time now where it forces us to actually talk about it in an honest and open way. In the UK today, still, black people are 7 times more likely to be stopped and searched. Black women are 5 times more likely to die during pregnancy, childbirth and post-birth. African Americans are half as likely to be prescribed pain medication for the same level of pain. Black British people are paid 17.7% less for the same work. Black children are 2.6 times more likely to be excluded for the same or even when displaying better behaviour than their white counterparts. So even if you are behaving better than your white counterparts in Britain, if you're black, you're still 2.6 times more likely to be excluded for the same behaviour. Black children are often underassessed, i.e. in school, results. So basically what I'm trying to say here is that black children handling the same quality of work are likely to be given a lower grade in comparison to their white counterparts. Black and Muslim individuals need to send up to twice as many job applications to receive an interview for identical CVs. So for example, if you've got someone with a typical English name versus someone with an Arabic or a traditional West African name, the West African individual and the Muslim individual will have to send twice as many CVs to get the same number of interviews as the individual who was white. Right. But what does this mean? We have covered these statistics and there is definitely an underlying narrative beneath them. Black people are 7 times more likely to be stopped and searched. Well, that underlying narrative to that, I would argue, is that black people are more dangerous. Black women are 5 times more likely to die during pregnancy and they need half as much pain medication. The underlying narrative of that is that somehow black people are tougher. Black children are 2.6 times more likely to be excluded. The underlying narrative of that is, for some reason, there is an underlying stereotype that we're naughtier or more mischievous. Black children are underassessed, meaning that black children are stupider. There's no way they could do this high quality of work. You can see there's an underlying narrative here. There's meaning to these statistics. So what does it mean? Well, imagine playing snakes and ladders against an opponent. This is the manifestation within societies, economically speaking. Now, once again, imagine playing snakes and ladders against an opponent. That opponent has more snakes on their board than you do. You have more ladders on your board than they do. Your opponent will inevitably lose. Would you say to that individual with more snakes than ladders, that their issue is the way that they're playing the game, that they're throwing the dice wrong, that maybe if their attitude was a bit better, they would be better off? These are all things that we've heard as black individuals that just do not justify the disadvantage that we have to experience every day. The truth is that we as human beings are to some extent very varied. We have varied work ethics, talents, intelligence, etc. But when all these things are controlled, someone is still disadvantaged for reasons outside of their own control. I would argue that it is ethically sound to remove those disadvantages, because if we do not, then everyone loses. Do you want to be held by someone who is the most qualified to help you, or someone who got the job because of who their parents were or what their ethnicity or gender was? There is a better qualified person who didn't get the chance to help you. They lose because they didn't get the opportunity to help you, and you lose because you don't have the best qualified individual helping you. What I'm arguing here for is that we judge by merit, not by appearance and not by assumptions based on an individual's appearance. Just like Martin Luther King said, the dream is that we are able to be judged on the content of our character. We shouldn't be simply aiming for black people to have the same opportunities as non-blacks. We should be aiming for merit to be the greatest indicator of success. If we can work to build inequality of if we can work to build equality of opportunity amongst all races, genders, religions, and creeds, society will be better off as a result. We have already seen this just by the civil rights movement, which was proposed by individuals, which was put forward by individuals of African descent. Many other people have benefited. Women have benefited. Members of the LGBTQ community have benefited purely because we're fighting to be judged by merit. As Martin Luther King Jr. said, every single individual has a duty to be a civil rights activist. Now, the original aim of this project was to show the African diaspora the true essence of ourselves. It is our duty to remember that we have been forced to, it was our duty to remember what we have been forced to forget. In our history, we find esteem, identity, and the true scope of our potential. However, I became increasingly enlightened as I worked on this project. We as humans have contributed far more to each other's progression than we have to our demise. In today's context, it is almost ironic that many Europeans claim ancient Greece and Rome to be the origin of today's civilization. If it wasn't for Muslim Arabs and Muslim Africans translating and refining the classics, the Greek and Roman classics and the Bible, and then bringing those works into Europe through the Iberian Peninsula, i.e. Spain, then Western Europe may still have been ignorant of the ancient past which they claim. But as I worked, I became more aware of the importance of curiosity. Curiosity without bias allows us to see each other for who we truly are. I have had the most informing conversation with people of opposing views, beliefs, and backgrounds which oppose to my own. Our polarization, our differences, allow us to understand our views and our own ambitions. This is why I despair for the cancel culture, and I have an admiration for the speaker circuits which Malcolm X, Frederick Douglass, and James Baldwin spoke on. Allow ignorance at the highest level to display its ugly, primitive nature, and let the public decide as to who is the better force for good. Thank you so much for reading or watching my project. I will continue to work for the betterment of equality. There are quite a few projects that we're working on. One is obviously this, trying to provide a plug in and play presentation or lecture series for schools who want to teach African history. I'm also working with my cousin on a range of African historical novels to bring to light African heroes of the past, and the aim is to then turn it into an African hero universe, like a Marvel universe, so individuals know of their history before they go into secondary school in a fun and entertaining and educational way. Thank you so much for watching. I know that it's been a long series, but thank you so much for joining me on this journey, and let me know what you think of the final product. Thank you so much.